If you are a Philadelphia Eagles fan, the odds of you having a good start to your week went womp womp down the drain. Fly, Eagles, fly. More like yikes, Eagles, yikes, as the trend of blowing games in the fourth quarter continued for the Eagles last night on Monday Night Football as the Atlanta Falcons came back to beat them 22-21. Kirk Cousins put together a 70-yard touchdown drive in about 65 seconds to give the Falcons the lead in prime time, no less. CJ, of all the teams or people that can beat you in prime time, how does losing to Kirk Cousins in prime time feel if you are the Philadelphia Eagles?
If it was a video game, I would have turned the game off. I would have turned it off. I wanted to play it for a couple of days, and I'd have to come back and replay that game because that's not what's supposed to happen.
No.
Kirk Cousins in prime time is not supposed to come back and beat you. I would say that's not realistic. That never happened. That never happens in real life. The game is cheating. Therefore, I'm going to turn it off, and I am going to quit. Look at this.
Look at Kirk Cousins.
What are the Eagles doing here?
What is Darius Slay doing? Your name should not be allowed to be Slay.
So open. And the Eagles just routinely in this game, like, tripped over their own 2 feet. They should have been up 2 scores by this time. By this time in the game, they should have been up 2 scores. It's a 21-21 game. And what did the Eagles do in the red zone? They were abysmal in the red zone. What are you doing,
No,
Philadelphia?
this is not a we.
Kyra, what are your people doing?
Yes, our lovely director, Kyra, is an Eagles fan. It is one of those days where I would just love to sit down and turn on the old radio dial to listen to Philadelphia Sports Talk Radio, because they're going to talk a lot about the Saquon Barkley drop, which we will too. Here's where the conversation is going to start with Philadelphia Sports Talk Radio. It's going to start with Nick Sirianni and his decision-making last night, whether it be the decision to pass on third down where Saquon Barkley gets the drop, whether it be to kick the field goal to put them up 6 instead of going for it on fourth down. Both of those things warrant a discussion.
After already going for it on fourth down early in the game. If that's what you are, you got to be that.
All I could think about when that happened.
Once and then not do it again.
Exactly. Bill Belichick was on the Manning cast last night, and I will say, the Bill Belichick version of the Manning cast might be my favorite version of the Manning cast because, yes, Peyton and Eli are such great personalities, but Bill Belichick, to listen to one of the greatest coaches of all time break down game in real time like that, I thoroughly enjoyed it. And he was talking about this is who the Eagles are. They are an analytics-based team, and when you're an analytics-based team, you make decisions like that. You can't just punk out late in the game and not decide to ride with the analytics. Anyway, we'll get to that. What I came away from that game with, what happened to the Philadelphia Eagles defense? Where is it? What is it? Because Kirk Cousins got to leave Atlanta, not just with a primetime win, which rarely happens for Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins left with a clean jersey. Kirk Cousins could have used a little Tide-to-Go pen to get out a couple stains on his jersey because he never touched the ground. Like, what we've been talking about coming out of week 1 with Kirk Cousins was he's a statue. Coming off of the Achilles injury, he can't move, and he could afford to be a statue last night because his pocket was so big that he didn't have to run. Sure, he did a little moving and grooving, a little tap dancing here and there, some play action, but he didn't have to move, and he was so well protected. He was completely unfazed by an Eagles pass rush that has, poof, disappeared into thin air. Bryce Huff, who is a former Memphis Tiger, who I always am rooting for. Bryce Huff, covered him when he was here at Memphis. He was the big free agency signing for the Eagles this offseason. And in 2 starts, he has 0 sacks, 0 quarterback hits, 0 hurries, 0 tackles for a loss, 0 solo tackles, and 1 assisted tackle. He did not make the box score last night. And it's not just the pass rush. It is an abysmal Eagles run defense. Bijan Robinson averaged close to 7 yards a carry last night. And Darius Slay getting completely juked out by Drake London at the end was just the icing on top. But this Eagles defense has problems. The in-game decision-making by Nick Sirianni certainly is a problem. But the glaring, like, eek, this could affect them the entire season for me was the Eagles defense. Like, Kirk Cousins was a statue with roses around him. He was a statue with fencing around him. He could do whatever he wanted. It made us come out of that game thinking, oh, by golly, maybe Kirk Cousins can come back from this Achilles injury. And I think that's false. I think that's a false flag.
I'm not thinking that at all. This Eagles franchise, 2 years removed from being really, really good, right? And inexplicably, this happens to them now. right? And it started happening towards the end of last year, maybe the second half of last year is when it happened, where they just find ways to mess up and lose games. And to your point about the defense, like, is Brandon Graham their best pass rusher? Because Brandon Graham, I feel like, was in college when I was in college. I feel like I've been watching him play since Reggie White was on the field, right? I feel like they lined up on opposite sides of one another. And that just speaks to how...
He's 36.
He was playing in college when I was in college.
And he's been with the Eagles the whole time.
Brandon Graham is my age. Your best player shouldn't be my age. What have you done to that wonderful defensive line in that front?
All those Georgia players. Where are you?
Like, come on, man. You got to be a bit better. Not a bit. You got to be much better than that. Bijan hits the hole fast also. Like that. Give credit to that Falcons offensive line because they did an amazing job. Bijan gets up. It's easy to look amazing when you got a running back like that who gets in the hole in the blink of an eye. And by then, like, once he gets in the hole, he's gone. He's big, he's fast, he's powerful. He is a really, really good running back. Now, that doesn't take away from the Eagles' defensive woes right now. They got to figure something out. You can't be, again, going back to it. The thing about the Lions, I've got my qualms with them. But the thing about them and Coach Dan Campbell is he is that constantly. Right? If he's going to go for it on fourth down in the first quarter, guess what? You bet your baby back ass he's going to go for it on fourth down in the fourth quarter. I feel like the Eagles, they're using too much analytics instead of just playing the game. You don't have to nerd it up that much. You can use it to help justify decisions. You can use it to help make some decisions, but that can't be the end-all, be-all. Kick the field goal in the first quarter and then kick it again in the fourth quarter, and you win that game. If you go for it in the first quarter, damn it, go for it in the fourth quarter because the football gods, the football cosmic karma universe will reward you at some point for going for it both times. It is all a numbers game. You just have to believe in yourself in tough moments, and I don't feel like the Eagles have that. Like, I don't think the Eagles went into the last three drives thinking, hey, we're fine. We're going to win this game. I feel like they went into it with, oh, no, not again. Let's not lose it. And the booty cheeks got tight. And you can't win games if the booty cheeks is tight. And the Eagles right now are playing football with booty cheeks so tight you couldn't drive a nail through it with a sledgehammer, dog. Like, you got to loosen them cheeks up.
I disagree. I think they don't know whether to clench or unclench.
Always unclench.
Because the decision to pass on third down felt like a prove it, let's go win it with a big play. Let's put this thing away. Let's score. And to be fair, the play worked. Saquon Barkley dropped the ball. Like, Saquon Barkley gets paid $13 million a year. He has to catch that pass. And that has been the knock on Saquon Barkley. And he was tremendous last week. He was the best player on the football field to me last night, which is why you think, gee, put the ball in Saquon's hands and let him run. But if there is one knock against Saquon Barkley, it has been that he gets an oopsie-doopsie case of the dropsies. He has 16 drops in the last 4 seasons, which is more than any other running back in the NFL. So if you are the Eagles coaching staff, you dial that up and you assume that this is one of the times that he's not going to drop the ball. You could have made it easier for yourselves, but you culminate that with then the following decision to not go for it on fourth down. And I just think it's an identity crisis. Like, who are you? Who are you going to be? And both of those decisions lacked a true center core of this is who we are. Are we going to run the football in this time? And the Eagles are playing without A.J. Brown last night, which did affect their pass game and does affect Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts was running all over the place for the Eagles in that loss. And it now looks like they're going to be without A.J. Brown, not just last night, but a little bit moving forward too.
The Jessica Benson Show with CJ Hurt, live every weekday at 8 a.m.